Good morning, all. My name is Andy Winninger, and I am hosting this Zoom meeting. Jamie Allar will be our presenter for the simple steps to pre-planning. We want to thank you all for showing up today, and please enjoy. If you have any questions or answers, if you tap on your screen, there will be an icon somewhere on the screen that says Q&A. Please feel free to type in any questions that you have. We'll answer them during the course of this presentation. At the end of the presentation, for those of you who stay through it, we are going to walk you through and send you a link to your email account for this free gift certificate. If you'll please send me your email in the chat box. Also on the screen, by tapping on the screen, you'll find chat, and send me your email. We'll be happy to send you the link for the free gift, as well as for signing up if you would like a one-on-one with Jamie. And so at this point, I am going to turn over the seminar, the presentation to Jamie Allar.
Well, good morning and welcome everyone. I'm honored that you've chosen to join us today. Again, my name is Jamie Allar. I'm with Hemer Funeral Home. And my job for the past 14 years or so has been solely focused on helping folks like you get their ducks in a row. We're pleased to be able to assist families with this technology. And while I miss having the opportunity to greet you all in person, I am thankful to have this time to help you all while allowing everyone to stay safe at home. So we're here to talk today about something that will affect every single person, yet it's something most people have some difficulty discussing. And as our title suggests, our goal is to make this simple for you because it's so important to address this and prepare for it, not only for you, but for those that you love. The fact that you're here today and you've taken this time to learn is a great first step, so kudos to you. So when we consider the most significant events in life that we prepare and plan for, there's things like getting married, the birth of a child or grandchildren, education and retirement. We rarely just let these things happen without some thoughtful planning. And like other major life events, funerals require planning too. An estimated 34% of people over the age of 50 have pre-planned a funeral for themselves and or someone else. We see these numbers growing each year as consumers become more aware that this can and should be done ahead of time. So when we look at results from a survey conducted, over 90% of people agree that pre-planning is a good idea. So the question really isn't why should I pre-plan, but rather why not? The key reasons that people share with us for why pre-planning is important, first, to lift the burden for their loved ones, both emotionally and financially. The second reason is to ensure things go the way that you want them to. And finally, for peace of mind, knowing that you've done all you can for those that you love. So people ask, how much does a funeral cost these days? And while the National Funeral Directors Association tells us an average cost nationally is around $7,000, this average doesn't take into account what we refer to as cash advance items. And cash advance items contribute to the overall funeral cost, but these prices aren't set by the funeral home. So some of these outside items would include cemetery costs, like the cost of the plot or grave, or for opening and closing of the grave, a headstone, obituary notices, the funeral meal, flower display pieces, honorariums for clergy and musicians, the death certificates. These are a few of those items. A simple cremation may start around $3,000, and a full service traditional burial can reach close to $20,000. So funeral costs are typically increasing faster than the cost of living, about 4 to 5% on average per year. And that means today's prices, according to those figures, could be double in about 14 years. And we know how quickly that time can go. By my calculation, 2006 was 14 years ago. That's hard to believe. So when you're considering what type of service will work best for you and your loved ones, we'll discuss some of the basic options, but it's important to know there's really no rules or one size fits all. When we use the term funeral, this typically refers to a formal service based on religious or cultural traditions where the body is present in most cases. Because the body is present, funerals generally take place within a few days following the death. That can be done before burial or cremation takes place. A funeral can take place in a church, at a graveside, at a funeral home, or even at someone's home. While a memorial service is typically held without the body present, it can be scheduled days, weeks, or even months after the death occurs, allowing time for family and friends to gather. In fact, as some of you may have heard about recently during this pandemic, many families have opted to delay services as they are currently being limited to just 10 people at a time. A memorial service can be elaborate or simple and may be held anywhere, at a home, in a park, a graveside, in church, or at a funeral home. And if you're looking for some unique ideas, I encourage you to take advantage of the free personal session that will be offered at the end of the presentation today. One of my favorite ideas for a memorial service was for a self-described sweet tooth whose service was an ice cream social complete with a sign that said, "Life is short, eat dessert first." Some additional options to personalize a service include military honors for veterans, a butterfly or dove release, photo displays. Sorry about that. Sorry. I'm not sure how to get back there. Let me get back there. Technical difficulties. Stand by, everyone. There we go. All right, as we were saying, butterfly or dove releases, photo displays, or a video tribute. Some folks will raise funds for a favorite charitable organization, or host a meal or reception at a favorite gathering place, or even serve a favorite food item. I worked with a couple recently who pre-planned for their favorite bakery to provide lefse for their meal gathering, which was a family tradition of theirs. Just a little brainstorming can result in a great idea to make your event special and personalized, and we're here to help with this. When considering a service or a gathering, it is important to remember that this is a gift for the people who will need to grieve their loss and honor your life. I hear a lot of people say, "I don't want a funeral," which is usually code for, "I don't want people to make a fuss over me." And I think that's human nature, but it is important to remember it's a basic human need for the living to honor loved ones who go before them. And when we lose someone we love, ceremony is an important component of the healing process, and it's a way to reconcile loss. Funerals truly are for the living. And we do also have the option for those who wish to plan a very basic direct burial or cremation. Just know that anything planned ahead of time will provide that much needed direction at the time of need. And you can always add or change to your arrangements at any time. If you're choosing burial, you can pre-select a casket. Traditional cemeteries in our area require a grave liner or a burial vault, which can also be pre-selected. And finally, you'll want to consider clothing and any jewelry that you wish to have for a viewing. If you're choosing cremation and would like your cremated remains to be given to a family member, You might consider an urn or other container. Other options would include a decorative ceramic piece or having ashes transformed into natural stones. You can even have your remains incorporated into a coral reef or a gemstone. They've really come up with all kinds of unique and personalized options for cremation. So once you have an idea of what type of arrangements would best accommodate you and your family's needs, a cost estimate can be provided, and then this information will be important when considering your funding options. An important question to ask is, if something happened to you tomorrow, how would your funeral expenses be paid? And for some, personal savings might be the first thought, but for long-term planning, the potential for encountering expensive long-term healthcare costs does pose a risk to your savings. In addition, a surviving spouse may need to rely on those savings to supplement their lost income. So when we rely on other family members or friends to pay for funeral expenses, there's always the risk that they'll overspend emotionally. Many people aren't aware that oftentimes when death occurs, assets passed to the kids are frozen during probate, which can mean family is left to cover the bill before your funds are accessible. So sometimes that can be many months. Borrowing from family and friends may be an option, but asking help can carry that heavy emotional toll. A credit card or loan could be an option, but there's always interest rates, interest charges to consider with that. So another popular thought that you may have is, I have life insurance. And life insurance is a wonderful option for passing a tax-free gift to survivors. It allows loved ones to maintain their standard of living after a death, and funeral expenses are generally due at the time of arrangements, and life insurance usually takes weeks to process if all goes well. It oftentimes will leave families to cover some expenses out of their pocket until the claim is settled. And by the way, in cases where a death certificate might be delayed, this also delays the timing of funds. In cases of accidental death or autopsy investigation, it's common to see weeks or even months of delay for receiving those death certificates. Also, for long-term planning, life insurance with cash value is considered an available asset for long-term care. In other words, just like your other savings, most policies are not protected from creditors like the nursing home. So fortunately, there's an alternative to allow you to avoid the pitfalls that I just mentioned. You can choose to arrange payment in advance with an irrevocable funeral trust designed just for the payment of funeral expenses. Once you've pre-planned your funeral needs, you purchase a policy for the amount needed. And when the time comes, your funeral provider ensures that your wishes are carried out. They're providing the products and services that you've pre-selected with no additional work for your loved ones. Your family will never have to call an insurance company to start a claim or worry about juggling funds. It's all taken care of. This is a smart financial decision for several reasons. First, you can secure prices, and as mentioned earlier, the funeral and cremation costs are estimated to double every 14 years. You're giving yourself the freedom to make customized payments on your terms. You can pay in one lump sum or in monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, or even annual installments over several years. When a funeral is not funded ahead of time, the full amount is due and payable in a few days. So funding your arrangements ahead of time relieves a huge burden for your loved ones because the costs are immediately paid at the time of death with no interaction needed on their behalf. The funeral home files the claim and receives payment directly, and if there's unused funds, they're returned to your estate. No one knows what lies ahead, and if medical issues require long-term care, your funeral policy, which is held in that irrevocable burial trust, will remain protected no matter what. And finally, what peace of mind not to have to worry about how your family will cope with all the decisions that have to be made quickly at the time of death. You're really getting everything in order for them. Planning ahead is really a gift that you will leave behind. We hear a lot of people tell us it's a huge relief to get this done, but families tell us it's such a gift that their loved one has given them. I'm sure everyone here can attest that when someone we love dies, emotions are raw and tensions exist even in the best of relationships. So the potential for disagreements is far less when your key details are mapped out for your family and paid for. They can focus on their healing process and be confident knowing that they're following your wishes. And you can achieve peace of mind, knowing that you've done all you can to make a tough transitional period a little easier for them. So we guide you through a 3-step process. So where do you begin? Well, hopefully you'll be inspired today to take action. And we'd like to offer you an opportunity to put some of the things you've learned today to work for you and your family. Soon, as Andy mentioned, you'll receive a follow-up email from us with a link where you can register for a free gift card. This is the link that you'll receive. You'll just fill in your information and you can expect that gift certificate to arrive in about 5 business days. Also in that email, you'll receive an invitation to view my calendar. You'll see my picture here, and these dates that are circled in blue are available days. And once you click on those days, some available times will pop up. The nice thing about Zoom is that you can invite family members who are maybe out of the area, quarantining at this point. We can have up to, I believe it's 100 people on a Zoom meeting. So I don't suggest 100, but if you've got a couple of family members that you'd like to be part of this conversation, we do encourage you to do that. So I just want to leave you with one other thought. I had a customer who had said, you know, they never wanted to plan their funeral or anyone else's for that matter. But they figure if we all just plan our own funeral, it'll be the only one we ever have to plan. And that would be a whole lot easier on everyone. And at this time, I just want to check in with Andy and see if we've got any questions that have come in that we can answer.
There are no questions that have come in at this point, Jamie. I do have just one other piece of information that I need to receive. We had several attendees today. One of them is listed as Moto E5 Cruise. If you could please check and tap on your screen and go to the chat button and include your name and email. That way we can send you the link specifically for the free gift. Otherwise I have no idea and don't know who specifically to send that to. So I'd appreciate that. Again, we want to thank you for your attendance today. If you do have a question, I am going to open it up and allow our people to be able to ask questions if they would like to. We do have a chat button here. Good. Okay, very good. Thank you, Moto E5 Cruise. We will get that link sent out to you as well for the free gift. If no other questions are forthcoming, we again thank you for attending, and we will be bringing this meeting to a close.
Thank you all for your time and attention. And everybody stay safe and have an awesome day.